What is the most messed up thing you've ever heard while eavesdropping? NSW. This isn't really messed up, just kind of hilarious. It was a table full of old men at a pizza joint. As I walked by, I looked over at them and just caught the end of his statement. One of them leaned in real close and says, "And then she told me to Google it." There was a pause and then he just goes, "What the frick is a Google?" and the other old guys just kinda throw up their hands. I was sitting in the grass at a track meet and overheard two guys talking. Guy 1. So I took the scissors to my nipple and started cutting a little bit, but it didn't hurt, so I cut the rest off. Guy 2. Dude, what? Distinctly overheard someone say, "I haven't seen you since we got drunk off cough syrup in your ambulance." Made a point to write it down because sentences like that don't happen every day. I had a friend who owned a used ambulance. We got drunk in it a lot. Never on cough syrup though. It was sweet when he'd show up at parties hauling kegs in it and he'd throw the lights on. Those were the days. I was walking to class when I passed a girl on a bench with a cell phone to her ear. What do you mean she got run over by a carriage? It sounded pretty straightforward to me. No, am I scarage? Oh, well, good thing it missed. Ah, yes. I've posted this before, but I'm happy to do it again. I am a makeup artist and my clients sit in the chair for an hour sometimes. Conversations don't always last and this one girl was texting. I was standing behind her doing her hair and she had an international phone so it looked cool and different than mine, or anyone I had seen. I was peeking at the screen to see what it was all about and she happened to be texting her boyfriend and how she wanted to frick herself with my curling iron. I never peeked again and I never looked at my curling iron as just an iron. I'm about to curl the fuck out disclit. YOLO. In a library at uni doing work, overheard at the next table. So I told Ben I have syphilis last night. Everyone at the tables next to that table all looked up at once with the look of "Did I just hear that?" followed by attempts to contain laughter. Quiet libraries are not the best place to share some things. One time in HS we had an extended home group registration thing, and our teacher took us all to the library to read then left. Biggest B in my year begins describing her sex life loudly to her friends and describing herself as a starfish. So much stifled laughter. I lived next to a 50-something married couple that used to get into drunken shouting matches on a bi-weekly basis. One day they were on the balcony screaming at each other about which one of them crapped the bed. They proceeded to explain their diets and colon shapes to defend their innocence. Heard my boss talk about a guy who had been using his company credit card to start his own escort service. Was flying girls in from Las Vegas and everything. Of course this was all top secret and nobody was supposed to know, but a glass door can only keep so much sound in. I was on a busy peak hour train, in the quiet carriage. In this carriage, people are expected to keep their music down low and their phone conversations hushed. This young girl in front of me gets a call. She then starts going on and on about how her boyfriend gave her herpes, complete with some lovely descriptions and theories about him cheating. Considering that it was so quiet, she had the rapt attention of 50+ horrified passengers. College freshman living in the dorms, upper bunk, nighttime, haven't quite fallen asleep. Overhear one of roommate's ladies saying, "You want to put what in my butt? Don't you know how big your dong is? Frick." I overheard two nurses talking about a patient who was admitted to the hospital for intoxication, along with having a back of 3 times the limit. Upon examination, the doctor found she had a pill bottle in her vagina. When he asked the family member about it, the response was that she always kept the bottle there to make sure no one stole it. There was some benzo in the bottle, Xanax or something of the sort. I would have paid to see the doctor's face when discovering the bottle. I once overheard my ex-wife telling a friend he says I come like a porn star. Sadly, the he in question was not me. Later, after the affair came out and we were in the process of divorcing but still living in the same apartment. Big mistake, but neither of us could afford to break the lease. I picked up the phone not realizing she was on it to hear, "Those were your fluids. You should pay the dry cleaning." I picked a real winner there. You should have chimed in, "Yeah, you should pay the dry cleaning." Walking past my dad's bedroom not long after my mom left, maybe a week or 2, I overheard him on the phone telling someone that my mom had been having an affair and had left him for that guy. They had told me differently, of course. But to 10-year-old me it broke my heart and made me wonder why we weren't good enough for my mom to want to stay. I told my dad about 15 years later and he said, "I'm so sorry. You weren't supposed to know that. I thought you were downstairs still." You have a good dad and that's all that matters. I was walking and I overheard a girl talking with her friends and all I heard was "then he put it in my butt" and I passed out. I was wondering how that would happen for the rest of the day. Overheard my boss telling someone in his office about the crazy weekend he'd had. He went home with a banging cougar in her 60s. He's 27, did the deed, and came face to face with her husband as he was leaving the house. The woman came out, started making out with her husband, and then they convinced him to have a threesome with him that made him feel like he was fricking his parents. Couldn't look at him the same way after that. I was at a party and overheard a girl talking about some guy she randomly fricked. She was regaling her friend, almost sobbing. I almost threw up the next day when I saw him and realized he was a Mexican. And then I realized I forgot to take my pill. So all week I was afraid I was going to have a Mexi baby. Thank God I got my period. I ended up overhearing this girl's name later on and committed it to memory. Fast forward about a week. I'm drinking with my buddy Miguel at his place. He makes some remark about getting laid recently and how he hated himself because he didn't use a condom and how he was really freaking drunk and this fugly girl basically took advantage of him. I just blurt out, mid-sentence, "Was her name Melissa?" Yep. I was at the food court in a mall when this group of teenagers walked by. 3 guys and 1 girl. The girl punches the one guy in the arm and says my butthole hurts. The guy she hit had the biggest grin on his face. He was always proud of his 7-alarm chili. My grandma to my dad while me and my siblings and I were in her living room in sleeping bags about to hit the hay. Yeah, but I still see Pap, my grandpa, sitting in the kitchen all the time. Yeah, dude's been dead for like 2 years. Kitchen is in plain view from the living room I was sleeping in. I did not sleep that night. I want my wife to call me Pap when I'm old. Couple is walking down the street toward me, clearly in the early stages of dating, maybe 3rd date. Guy is animatedly telling the girl a story, and I overhear. Got really wasted and I blacked out, and the next thing I know, I wake up in Hoboken without my shoes, and I just thought, where are my kids? One of the few times I've considered turning around and following someone down the street. Was dying to hear the rest of the story. And this is when Reddit comes through for you and he shows up and we all win. In university I ran for student council and needed signatures to get on the ballot. I asked a girl in one of my classes, with whom I'd worked on some projects, and who had always been friendly to sign, and she did. After class, walking to another building, the girl is just a few feet ahead of me and I hear her plainly saying to a friend, "And then that butthole wanted me to sign up for him to get on council." I didn't say a word, but just walked a little faster and past them. You were Hermione Grangered. In Dharamsala, India, from a middle-aged white woman, and then to obtain a higher karma he penetrated our chakras with his penis, but not in a sexual way, and she clarified that the chakras were situated in the vagina. Some people do anything for karma. My wife was at her ob's office when a dipsy pregnant teen asked her friend, "OMG, do you think the baby will fart inside of me? Will I feel it? Ugh. That's so gross. I don't want baby farts inside of me." To be fair, I don't want baby farts inside me either. I overheard my parents talking while my father was dealing with cancer. I'm paraphrasing, so forgive me. The will's all set. Stop asking. I told you it is. You're gonna be okay. I'm gonna be in a box. I just wanna see him grow up a bit more, you know? He was talking about me. I still think about those words to this day. Oh man, I'm a bit late to the party but I still can't believe I overheard this. I was on a train in Toronto around 6:30 p.m. last summer, so extremely busy, every seat taken kind of situation, and these 2 middle-aged women were casually chatting about their husbands, children, what have you. The one woman is talking about her new German Shepherd and how her husband has really taken a liking to him, so much so that he's spending time with the dog in the middle of the night while she's sleeping. Then she says to her friend, "I crap you not," that she found her husband jerking off the dog at 3 a.m, allegedly to calm it down. She didn't even lower her voice. I looked at her friend and she was pretty flabbergasted, too. I never saw her on the train again, but I hope that her husband has stopped fiddling with their dog. Yuck. No one freaking say IT. I was in a hospital room with a fishing lure embedded in my face while next door a man was describing mild chest pains to a nurse. He sounded pretty calm. Yeah, it's not heartburn because I didn't have any blah reg. I could hear how far the vomit launched. Also, the doctors were calling me that fish hook kid when they thought I wasn't listening. Well, you were a fish hook kid. Oh, this. Heard late one night while walking up the stairs and past my neighbor's apartment door. Her. Loudly. Hold still. I can't get it in all the way. Him. It's not supposed to go in all the way. OW, that hurt. Her. Oh, sorry. Baby, this was your idea. Should we stop? I don't wanna do it if you don't. Him. No, it's cool. It's cool. This is good. But it won't fit unless you open it up a little more. Thinking to myself, ooh, okay. They're assembling new furniture. At midnight. I think I'll just continue up to my apartment now. Every once in a while I pass him in the hall and I'm like, hey, what's up, man? I've assembled furniture at midnight. Certainly possible. That my cousin hadn't had sex for 1.5 years. He's only been married for 2 years. And his wife told him she didn't find him sexually attractive. That's just depressing. She probably has not been without sex for 1.5 years. When I was younger I heard my dad on the phone with another woman saying he loved her. The other woman wasn't my mom. So I told her. My parents ended up getting a divorce and my dad hated me for a while until he stopped drinking. You did the right thing. Dunno if you'd call it messed up, but for me it was incredibly eye-opening listening in on a conversation in HS between girls I knew and what they liked about sex. I had no idea at the time that normal girls were just as obsessed about sex as the average teenage guy was. Not really messed up but cute as frick. These kids were walking down a street together in Sydney and one pipes up. Did you know the teddy bear is named after the first Prime Minister of America, Theodore Chaswick? I was impressed at the obscure knowledge he knew and even more impressed at how adorably he'd gotten it wrong. I was at a wedding this weekend and this 12-year-old next to me was talking to some other 12-year-old and I just hear one of them say, he's cute and all but he's just not hot enough to. ? What planet am I on? In Northeast GEA. Kid, I don't want salt in my food. Mom, put salt in your food. Sadly, yes, they were both obese. A fellow GEA resident. Yeah, this crap happens a lot. Walking down the hallway in high school. Then Emily just came over and crap on the carpet. I realized about 15 minutes later that Emily was probably a cat or dog, but I was really confused for that time. You have no clue how flabbergasted I was. I work at a large branch of pubs in the UK, so I was at my job waitering and crap and I was cleaning up a table near this 40-something, drunk, kinda fugly looking couple. In how I was cleaning away and I hear the guy say I think that bloke's a girl. I looked at them and they were looking at me. Now let me just tell you I'm 6'4", at the time had a beard going on and I have a penis so I'm pretty sure I'm not a girl. Anyway I shrug it off. They're just drunk. So I walk off to pick up some glasses and as I walk back past them the fella stops me. My wife just wanted to say she thinks you have the nicest legs. Oh, her cheers did a little fake chuckle. No, but I mean you really have nice legs. Alright mate. Well, this isn't a strip club so unfortunately you won't be getting a better look. Then I walked off. The night goes on until it's about an hour away from closing time, which is also when I finish. By now there's group of underage dickheads using full SID. 2 old blokes who talk in indistinguishable Yorkshire yabble and the fugly looking couple left. I go over to their table reluctantly to pick up the big pile of used glasses and the bloke says to me, so when do you finish lad? Fancy going a drink with me? And the missus, no thanks, I'm just going to go home. I go to clean more tables. Now this is when I hear the messed up thing. The wife whispers to him, stop badgering him. What? I just want to give him a quick A lady I don't like complaining to her friend about how strong the coffee is at our work. I put a sign right by the coffee maker. Only use 2 scoops. Whoever makes it isn't reading my sign. Whispers I get bad diarrhea when it's too strong. I used roughly 7 scoops the next day. I was in a store once and heard two girls talking about the first thinks she may be pregnant. So her friend says, well, did you use any KY jelly this time? Number. What did you use then? She said Smuckers. It was the other way around for me. My cat usually meets me at the door when I get home from school. One day, I picked him up and screamed, I'm gonna eat you, in a cutesy monstrous manner. Door still open. At that exact moment, a girl walked past my driveway and looked at me with the most scared and shocked expression on her face. I'm Asian. Two guys walking out of the men's washroom. Guy 1. Well, it didn't feel that good when she did it, and it left a mark. Guy 2. Nods solemnly. This is not as light-hearted as everyone else's, but it enlightened me upon the lives of social workers. I was waiting for one of my social work classes to start and there was a social circle of people down the hall from me talking about their summer internship experiences. One woman started to talk about how she worked in a juvenile delinquent correction facility, and that there was this one boy who was constantly in and out. He never behaved in school, like off the wall not behaving, such as getting in fights, constantly getting up on tables or making a platform for himself for attention, getting kicked out of class, etc., and kept getting kicked out. Therefore, he kept returning to the correction facility. They had psychologically tested the kid and he was okay, and they kept sending home. Come to find out that at the end of his in and outs with the facility, they found out that his entire family was using him as a sex slave. Not just his parents, but his aunts, uncles, grandparents, all of them. After I heard that story, I do not know how social workers do what they do. That poor kid, he had nobody. The scale of it are beyond words. When I was about 9, I was in the room next to my parents' bedroom when I heard my mom say, let's go away for the weekend and have wild sex. If that wasn't scarring enough, I then heard my dad say, frick the weekend. Get naked, baby. I ran away as fast as I could before I heard anything more. Your dad has mad game. I posted this somewhere before. A mom, her daughter, and her daughter's friend were in Target shopping. They were in the same aisle as me. The girls were highly obnoxious and screechy. Anyway, they are talking about clothes or something and the mom chips in talking about her latest fashion trends. The daughter replies, in the most malicious tone I've ever heard, okay, no one wants your advice. Look at you. She leaves and the daughter, loudly, calls her mom fat and makes fun of her to her friend. They both laugh. The woman definitely heard and when she came back looked hurt. This makes me so dang sad. I wasn't eavesdropping, but at 13, my father got into the car with scratches up and down his arm and he said, welp, I just witnessed my first exorcism. Let's go home. He was plainly shaken up and serious. He probably got in a fight with your mom. I was homeschooled for a number of years, and my mother didn't really censor her phone conversations. For a family that claims to live a righteous life, there have been a lot of affairs and a lot of felonies. It's been my experience that the people who wear the biggest masks have the most to hide. Was outside smoking a cigarette in my house in the city. The semi-hot lesbians 2 doors down were having a cookout and were pretty hammered. They were loud and laughing and generally having a drunken blast. Then out of nowhere I hear my neighbor kind of jawing back and forth with her partner, joking but they are going at it and people are laughing and encouraging them with, oh, you're not gonna take that, are you, kind of stuff. It was all in good fun. Then her partner straight outed her as a pee drinker. It was followed by the loud hoer of about 15 drunk Baltimore lesbians. She went on to say that so and so made her pee in her mouth all the time. It is the one and only time my jaw has literally involuntarily dropped in my whole life. I prob have seen her 1,000 times since that day, and every time it is all I can think of. They are great. Not that messed up, but the context threw me through a loop. I was waiting on the underground subway platform and stood next to a couple. Tall man, short woman. They are talking quietly. She's cuddled to his chest and I can't help thinking they look like a good couple. The guy is eating a Subway sandwich and takes a big bite then begins chewing. Apparently this was not the right moment to indulge in the sandwich as the girl immediately reacts to not being answered and stirs. Before she sees he is chewing and trying to clear his mouth before speaking to her, she irritatedly blurts out, much more loudly than everything else. Is this because I wouldn't let you see MNC? I can't handle cringe, so I immediately stopped leaning on the wall and began walking away down the platform, which I imagine only drew attention to my having heard. While working in the emergency room, I overheard a woman say, "Sometimes you gotta suck a dong for respect." If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.